Think about the last time something went wrong in a relationship. Not the surface argument, not the specific thing that was said or the text that wasn't replied to. Go underneath that, the feeling that came up. What you did with it. Did you reach out immediately, needing to fix it, needing to know you were still okay? Did you go quiet, pull back, tell yourself you were fine when you weren't? Did you do both? Desperately wanting closeness and simultaneously pushing it away? Most people spend years thinking their relationship problems are about the other person, the wrong partner, bad timing, bad luck. What they don't realize is that they've been running the same internal program in every single relationship, and until they understand what that program is, they'll keep getting the same results with completely different people. That program has a name. It's called your attachment style, and in the next 8 minutes, it's going to explain a lot about your life. Why attachment styles matter. Attachment theory was developed by British psychologist John Bowlby in the 1960s and later expanded by researchers Mary Ainsworth and then Amir Levine in his book Attached, which, if you haven't read, is linked below. The core idea is simple. The way you learned to connect with your earliest caregivers, whether they were consistent, inconsistent, absent, or overwhelming, became a template, a blueprint for how you expect relationships to work. And that blueprint doesn't stay in childhood. It follows you into every friendship, every romantic relationship, every situation where someone matters to you and there's something to lose. There are 4 attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant. Most people are predominantly one with traces of another. None of them make you broken, but some of them are quietly costing you more than you realize. Secure attachment. Securely attached people grew up with caregivers who were consistently responsive, not perfect, just reliably there. When they needed something, someone showed up. When they were upset, they were soothed. They learned at a foundational level that relationships are safe. As adults, that translates into something that looks almost unremarkable from the outside. They communicate what they need without catastrophizing. They can handle conflict without assuming it means the relationship is over. When someone pulls away, they don't spiral. They either give space or have a calm conversation. When they're vulnerable, they don't feel like they've handed someone a weapon. Secure people aren't emotionally invulnerable. They feel everything. They just don't let fear run the decision-making. Here's what's important to know. Secure attachment isn't a personality type you're born with. It's a pattern that can be learned. Earned security, as psychologists call it, is entirely real. And it's what the rest of this video is quietly pointing you toward. Anxious attachment. Anxious attachment forms when caregiving was inconsistent. Sometimes warm, sometimes distant, sometimes emotionally unavailable in ways that had nothing to do with the child but felt personal anyway. The lesson the nervous system learned is love is unpredictable, and if you want to keep it, you have to work for it. Stay vigilant, watch for signs. Don't miss the moment things start to shift. As adults, anxiously attached people are deeply loving and deeply exhausting to themselves. They read into everything. A slower reply means something. A change in tone means something. Distance, even temporary and completely normal distance, feels like the beginning of an ending. So they move toward. They check in. They bring up the conversation before they've even decided if there's a conversation to have. They need reassurance, not because they're weak, but because their nervous system is running an old threat detection program that was calibrated for a much less stable environment. The painful irony of anxious attachment is that the very behavior it produces, the pursuit, the overcommunication, the constant need for closeness, tends to push away the people they want most. And the type they're most commonly drawn to? Avoidant. The person who seems self-contained, unbothered, hard to read. It feels like a challenge. What they don't realize is that it's a pattern recreating the emotional landscape of their childhood. Uncertain love, always just out of reach. Avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment forms in environments where emotional needs were consistently minimized, where showing vulnerability was met with dismissal, discomfort, or simply silence. The lesson learned: I don't need people. I'm better off handling things alone. Needing someone is a liability. As adults, avoidant attached people often read as confident, independent, self-sufficient, and they genuinely are to a point. But underneath that self-sufficiency is a nervous system that has learned to suppress attachment needs so thoroughly that they barely register until something real comes along. When a relationship starts to deepen, when it stops being casual and starts meaning something, the avoidance system activates, not with excitement, with threat response. The walls come up. They get busy, replies get shorter, They convince themselves they're just not that interested anymore. They're not lying. They genuinely feel less interested. What they don't realize is that the feeling of losing interest is the defense mechanism, not the truth. Avoidance goat pull away because they don't care. They pull away because caring feels dangerous, and distance is the only way they know to feel safe again. The frustrating reality for the people who love them is that the moment they stop pursuing, the avoidant often comes back. Not because they're playing games, because the threat, the closeness, has reduced enough for them to breathe again. Fearful avoidant attachment. Fearful avoidant attachment, sometimes called disorganized attachment, is the most complex of the four and the least talked about. It forms in environments where the caregiver was both a source of comfort and a source of fear. Trauma, unpredictability, or relationships where love and pain were so intertwined they became inseparable. The result is a person who both desperately wants closeness and is terrified of it simultaneously. Unlike the avoidant, who has learned to shut down attachment needs, the fearful avoidant feels them acutely. They want connection. They crave it. But the moment they start to get it, everything in them says run. So they do, and then they come back, and then they run again. From the outside, this looks like hot and cold behavior, mixed signals, self-sabotage. From the inside, it's a constant war between two equally powerful impulses: come closer and stay away. Fearful avoidants are not manipulative. They're caught between two survival strategies that directly contradict each other, and without awareness, neither one ever wins. So, how do you know which one you are? The honest answer is, pay attention to what you do when you feel threatened in a relationship, not what you think you should do, what you actually do. Do you move toward, seeking reassurance, needing to resolve it immediately? That's the anxious pattern. Do you move away, getting busy, going quiet, convincing yourself you don't care that much? That's the avoidant pattern. Do you do both, almost at the same time, wanting closeness and fleeing from it? That's the fearful avoidant pattern. Do you feel relatively steady, concerned but not consumed, able to communicate and wait? That's secure functioning. The goal isn't to perfectly categorize yourself and stop there. The goal is to start noticing the program running underneath your behavior, because you can't change something you can't see. Attachment styles aren't life sentences. The research is clear. With self-awareness, the right relationships, and sometimes the right support, people move toward security. It's slower than anyone wants it to be, but it happens. If you want to go deeper on any one of these, particularly anxious and avoidant, and what actually happens when those two find each other, those videos are coming. See you there.